Welcome to The Explainer, where we deconstruct the ideas behind great works. All right, today we're tackling a big one, Jane Austen's Pride and Prejudice. Now, you might think of it as one of the greatest love stories ever told, but it's so much more than that. It's really a masterclass in just how wrong we can be about our first impressions.
I mean, come on, this has to be one of the most famous opening lines in all of literature. But here's the thing, it's also deeply ironic. Austen is setting the stage with a huge wink to the reader, right? She's painting this picture of a world where rich single guys are basically on the hunt for a wife.
Because if you actually look at the world of Regency England, you have to ask yourself, who is really doing the hunting here? For women, especially women without their own fortunes, this game of love wasn't a game at all. It was a high-stakes play for economic and social survival.
So how does this all play out? Well, we're going to break it down. We'll look at the so-called universal truth about marriage, the disastrous first impressions that start it all, the turning point that flips the script, a scandal that nearly ruins everyone, and finally, how we get to see the real Mr. Darcy.
So, that famous opening line, it's not some objective fact about the world. No, it's the entire worldview of one very specific, very loud, and, frankly, very desperate character. Mrs. Bennet, the mother of 5 unmarried daughters.
And you can't really blame her for being so desperate because her anxiety is driven by this one critical piece of law called the entail. Basically, it meant that when her husband, Mr. Bennet, died, their family home and everything with it would go to the nearest male relative, leaving her and her 5 daughters completely out in the cold. We're talking potentially homeless.
So you have to get this. For the Bennet sisters, marriage wasn't just about finding a soulmate. It was their only real career option. And the rules of this game were incredibly strict. Financial security was way more important than love, a woman's reputation was everything, and just one misstep from one sister could bring disgrace on the whole family. It was a total pressure cooker.
Okay, so into this high-stakes world, 2 very rich, very single men arrive. And this sets the stage for the novel's central theme, just how dangerous it is to trust your first impression.
And these 2 guys could not be more different. You've got Charles Bingley, who is instantly a hit. He's charming, he's friendly, he's dancing with everybody. And then you have his friend, Fitzwilliam Darcy, who is, well, instantly disliked. He comes off as proud, arrogant, just a total snob.
And Darcy really just seals the deal on this awful first impression when he says this, out loud, about our hero, Elizabeth Bennet. He delivers this ice-cold dismissal, and guess what? She's standing right there. She hears every single word.
And boom, right there, her own pride takes a massive hit. And in that moment, she forms this powerful prejudice against him that pretty much defines their relationship for the rest of the book. In her mind, the case is closed. She's figured him out.
And just to pour a little gasoline on that fire, along comes this guy, George Wickham. He is handsome, he's charming, and he tells Elizabeth a story that confirms everything she already thinks about Darcy. He spins this tale about how the cruel Mr. Darcy stole his inheritance and left him with nothing. For Elizabeth, this is all the proof she needs.
So, armed with Wickham's sob story and her own mortifying experience at the dance, Elizabeth is now 100% convinced that Darcy is a villain, which is why his next move is so, well, baffling. It comes completely out of left field.
He proposes to her, and it might be the single worst marriage proposal in the history of literature. I mean, he basically tells her that he loves her against his better judgment, and then he goes on to insult her family and her social status. It just confirms every single bad thing she thought about him. So, of course, she furiously shoots him down.
But it's what he does next that becomes the major pivot for the entire novel. The next morning, he finds her and hands her a letter. And this letter changes everything. It doesn't just explain his actions, it systematically takes apart every single one of her prejudices, piece by piece.
The letter drops 2 absolute bombshells. First, the real story about Wickham. He's a manipulative liar who blew through his inheritance and then tried to run off with Darcy's 15-year-old sister to get her money. Second, Darcy admits he did break up Jane and Bingley, but he explains he did it because he genuinely thought Jane wasn't that into his friend. This moment forces Elizabeth, and us, the readers, to completely reevaluate everything we thought we knew. So, just as Elizabeth's entire world is getting turned upside down, just as her opinion of Darcy is maybe, possibly, starting to soften, a massive crisis explodes that threatens to ruin her entire family. Her youngest sister Lydia, who is wild and reckless, runs off with the one man Darcy just exposed as a total predator, George Wickham. Now, in this society, this is the ultimate catastrophe. An unmarried woman running off with a man meant social ruin, and it would destroy the marriage prospects of all the other Bennet sisters for good.
Just when it seems like all is lost, a deal is suddenly struck. Some mysterious, anonymous benefactor steps in, pays off all of Wickham's huge debts, and actually bribes him to marry Lydia, saving the Bennet family from total disgrace.
So the question is, who would do that? Who was this secret benefactor? You probably guessed it. It was Mr. Darcy. The same man she had called proud and selfish secretly spent a fortune to save her family's honor, all for the woman who had so brutally rejected him. And that right there, that's the whole journey of the novel, isn't it? It's this complete reversal of first impressions. The guy who seems so charming turns out to be a villain, and the guy who seems so proud and arrogant is revealed to be incredibly noble.
Now, this truth is definitely not lost on Mrs. Bennet. The second she finds out that Mr. Darcy isn't just a good guy, but is also fabulously wealthy, we're talking £10,000 a year, which was an astronomical sum, her opinion of him does a complete 180.
Her sudden change of heart is absolutely hilarious, and it perfectly shines a light on the superficial world the book is critiquing. But for Elizabeth and Darcy, when he proposes the second time, it's completely different. It has nothing to do with money or status.
They've both been humbled. He has finally learned to get past his pride, and she has learned to see beyond her prejudice. Their marriage isn't built on a flawed first impression. It's built on real understanding and a total shift in how they see each other.